Hey everybody, welcome. I'm Deborah Westbrook for those gathering on YouTube, and today we're going to talk about subtle energies, psychic energy. We're going to look at Jesus from a non-literal evangelical flow. We're going to look at him for the energies that he manifested, which will broaden our perception of who he was. And so welcome. I'm going to wait a little bit for people to gather on Facebook before I post this on YouTube. So if you're there, zip ahead 3 minutes and we'll be good to go. I think it's going to be quite nice today is what we're talking about. I hope everyone's doing well. While I wait for people, let me share with you, I live pretty close to Pajaro, which is in Monterey County, California, on the coast. And boy, there's been extensive flooding. I mean, we're not affected by it as much, but man, I'm telling you, the rains and the snowpack here is unbelievable as to what is happening. And so, I've kind of hunkered down and I've studied, and I love this topic. I feel like it's embedded within me. I think that every time I flowed out in studying this, more information was added to me, which just expanded my awareness of this, and it became such a life-giving reality to me that I can speak from the bottom of my heart regarding this, although I have some great notes. I actually had to pare down a lot of what I was saying, because every time I study this, I actually think about what is needed for you guys to learn as opposed to what you could study yourself. How deep do I need to go? And so things like that. So I really thank you for joining. Hey, Carol. Hey, Kay. So let's get started. I'm hesitating. I want to wait a minute because I have something to say at the beginning that I think is really kind of cool. So let me wait one more minute. I hope y'all are doing good. Carol, I miss North Carolina. I really cherish the time we spent there. I think it was really great and grand and glorious. So let's get going. Today I want to talk about light, divine flow, psychic energy, subtle energy bodies, and I want to pull them all in to the reality of you manifesting your life beyond the words. It's great that we talk about things. It's great that we discuss things. But there comes a point where our lives have to begin to manifest what we're talking if we really believe what we're saying. It's great to talk about energy. It's great to put things out there. But our lives in our incarnation are meant to manifest life. And in manifesting life, we begin to see how brilliantly authentic we are. And we see the sovereignty of our life. It brings great joy and strength to our internal DNA. We begin to know our purpose in time. We're not wandering. And we begin to see why we're here. And it expands a curiosity within us that is just brilliant. And in that curiosity, we set out on an adventure to know who we are, what we're capable of, what we're expanding upon. So let me read this to you. I'm going to go slow. I'm doing this for myself because I love this, and it is just bringing incredible stability and joy and wisdom into my life. And I'm doing it for you guys because I believe we're heading into really tumultuous times. And I want you to be able to know that you're in this world, but not of this world. And I want you to believe in miracles and psychic energy. I want you to navigate your day and intuition. I want you to rise above the narrative of fear. And I want you to live from that place as you navigate in the earth. So listen to this. During the infamous reign of the Holy Inquisition from the 12th to the 19th centuries, many innocent people were tortured, burned at the stake, or fed to beasts for having abilities as predicting the future, seeing spirits, reading another person's mind, or merely having a birthmark, mole, or blemish on the skin. The Inquisition, which was instituted by the Church to combat heresy committed by Christians, began in the 12th century in France and spread all over Europe. It was abolished in the early 19th century after the Napoleonic Wars. The Inquisition was later named the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith. The estimated number of people tortured and executed ranged from 300,000 to 1 million. Church historians, however, downplayed the number to less than 1% of those estimates. Jesus Christ performed the same psychic feats that people lived during the Inquisition were accused of. If he had lived in Europe at the time of the Inquisition, he would have been accused of being in league with the devil. Among the psychic powers Jesus possessed and demonstrated, as described in the four Gospels, were telepathy, precognition, materialization, exorcism, psychokinesis or telekinesis, reviving the dead, levitation, psychic reading, and teleportation. By performing psychic feats, Jesus showed that we can do them ourselves when we achieve greater spiritual consciousness. He is the model of what man can become. So what exactly were some of these psychic energy realities that Jesus flowed in? Number one, he flowed in psychokinesis. What this is how to influence a physical system without physical interaction. Psychokinesis is how to influence a physical system without physical interaction. In the book, The Holographic Universe, they give example after example after example of how this has been prevalent throughout the centuries, of how people did things that did not come out. For instance, Jesus turned water into wine, and he manifested the abundance of loaves and fishes. There are people right now, there are documented evidence of gurus in India and many other places that go into villages of poverty and actually from nothing appear to pull something. They are manifesting food for people that are in dire poverty. They are manifesting gifts for people. And when we eliminate the people, there will always be egoic people that are doing this for the wrong reason. But when you're moving in a love energy, these are the beginning of the greater works that we are called to do. This abundance that we are to procure out of a psychokinesis, out of matter, being able to do, can we do that? That is a miracle. And yet Augustine says that a miracle is not a violation of nature. A miracle is just us not understanding nature and energy in the universe. Another way that Jesus moved, I'll answer that later, Carol. I'll be glad to answer that. Another way that Jesus moved was into telepathy, the ability to receive or transmit thoughts supernaturally. How many times did Jesus know what was in a man's heart? This is telepathy, folks. This is energy. This is intuition. This is moving in a higher dimension. The very essence of the woman at the well, where he spoke to her from the energy of love, the powerful way in which he spoke to her was not to give us goosebumps. This is how we're supposed to move and live and be in our day. When we see people struggling, to challenge them in love. When we see people hurting, to intuitively speak into their lives. This is normal spirituality that flows across all lines of spirituality. Another way that Jesus moved was in materialization, which was the appearance of objects from unknown surfaces. Now, I'm going to do continual study on this, but the first thought I came to mind was when Jesus told to give Peter, take the coin out of the fish's mouth. Now, how would a coin get into a fish's mouth? This was from an unknown source. This didn't make sense. It was materializing. He materialized the fishes and the loaves from what? There was only a certain number, and yet they magically appeared. He did this over and over and over, all throughout. I think one of the best ways to see this is read the Gospels, read John, and just see everything that he did. Another example of psychic energy coming from, which I'll get to, your energy body, the subtle energy body that you have around your physical body, that the physical took shape from the energetic body. This teleportation is the transfer of matter and energy from one point to another while traversing the physical space in between. Now listen to this. This is obvious quantum. These are wormholes. This is obviously capability, teleportation. I had a wonderful friend that was able to translocate into places in Africa and walk into buildings and pray for people. You don't have to believe this. This is your choice. I believe this. I've always believed this. So what teleportation is, this transfer of matter and energy from one point to another without traversing the physical space in between. How many times did it say Jesus walked through walls? That's just one example. John 6. If you do a study and you really think about what it says, that it says immediately when Jesus got in the boat, immediately, no time passed. Immediately, the boat reached the shore on the other side. There is a distinct representation there that no time had passed. Simultaneously, it went to the other side. How did it get to the other side? It traversed beyond the realm of time of space to go into another realm. You can study wormholes to show that this is a possibility. I will do more studying on this. Another example of teleportation was when it says in Acts 8, suddenly the Lord took Philip away. You either believe what you're studying or you don't believe what you're studying. If you don't believe what you're studying and you don't see Jesus as a greater reality and you're just preaching this stuff without the manifestation of this stuff, you should probably sit down. If you don't preach from that which you experience, it seems to me you may not have a lot to say. And you may just be really good at religion and gather people who are truly anchored and grounded into a low vibrational energy. I'm challenging you to believe beyond what you've been told. So when it said suddenly the Lord took Philip away, then there he was. At the eunuch, 5D, at the side of the eunuch. How did he get there? He didn't know. Suddenly he was there. This is real, folks. And I'm just summarizing. Jesus practiced energy medicine all the time. He was able to heal through his spiritual awareness of energy from their subtle bodies. He was able to see the pain in people. He was able to read the energy of illness. Reiki healers can discern energy and blocked chakras. Jesus was the master in this. And each one of these topics can expand forever. So I'm giving you just a brief synopsis of each one. Jesus practiced remote viewing. Remote viewing is the ability to see a remote, unknown target through extrasensory perception. Folks, people use this in government a long time to get remote viewers in a room and to project themselves through their intuition into places where they would be able to tell, I believe it was the government, this is in the holographic universe, what exactly they were seeing. Well, remote viewing, how about when Jesus kept saying, I saw you under the fig tree before Philip called you? It is to see with the mind. Jesus said, I saw you under the fig tree. Do you think that was just a cute saying? No, he saw him before he saw him. He was able to remote view, and there's other examples of this. Then you have psychometry, the ability to obtain information about a person or an object by touch, the laying on of hands. Well, Jesus knew exactly the woman with the issue of blood. He discerned in the spirit someone was there through intuition, through energy. And then he said, who touched me? That touch was psychometry, that touch came with energy. And he knew exactly, because of the intuitive nature, because he moved in perfect love, because he was one with the Father, he knew that there was something to be discerned in that touch. Why do you think we lay hands on people? To show them healing or to show them love. Because we are to discern the energy in the touch. We're not so much to blatantly, robotically lay hands on people just because that's what we do. We lay hands on people. If you're whatever spiritual dimension you're from, there is a natural tendency of people to want to be touched. We are a touching generation. We are a touching reality. And there is an energy transmitted in touch, whether you call it laying hands on people or whether you call it just bonding with someone. We feel the vibration of love, and through that can come an open portal to understanding the hurt and the pain and the suffering of people. So then there's also dream telepathy, which is a vision came to Paul in the middle of the night and gave him directions of the dream, accessed a higher level of reality, And Paul was told to change his plans and go in a different direction. I think we need to take our dreams seriously and try to figure, to me, it depends on how many dreams you have. I don't have a lot of dreams, but when I do, they are like lucid dreams, or they are dreams where every single thing in the dream is intentional, and I never forget them. I remember them months later, and I see them come to pass, and I have to look to the energy behind what the dream is telling me. And sometimes it's not so obvious to me. So I ask people who I know, first of all, the intent of their heart is a powerful love energy. I ask them what they're getting from the dream, and they tell me, because they're flowing in intuition, they're flowing in interpretation, they're looking beyond the symbols into the overall reading of the energy of the dream, and I'm usually left with an aha moment. Why? We depend on one another, people. We're linked together. We're interconnected. Sure, I could probably have interpreted the dream, but why not ask someone that I love, that I know moves in love energy, to help me interpret what it is I'm seeing? So then you have all the clair things, the clairvoyance, the clairaudient, the clairsentient. The clairvoyance is to see beyond the range of ordinary perception. It is clear seeing, to see persons or events of another time or another place. When Jesus said, "Come and see," he didn't say, "Come and know." He said, "Come and see." They would know by just being in the energy of that presence. When you're in the presence of someone where that resonance is just flowing between the two of you, you don't always need to know. You feel it. You sense it. You know that you're in resonance with someone. You know when and it goes beyond whether you agree with them politically or religiously. There is a bond. There is an internal bond within you that you know that you are resonant with that person. And so what happens is, when he said, "Come and see," he wanted to expand. They didn't see right off the bat. They didn't see. They were totally dumbfounded because they were stuck in such, bogged down in such religious law and the basis of materialism and matter, that they didn't see what he was trying to say. And he was often misunderstood, and he was often quirky. And then I remember the one time that they said that they tried to capture him, but he just kind of disappeared through the crowd. Think about that. They tried to throw him off a cliff, and he just kind of managed to get away. How do you get away from, I don't know, a crowd of people that have more power than you? You maybe can't fight it off. So there's got to be another way that you would lapse out of time and slip through that reality. So clairvoyance, he was teaching people, see, come and see. Come and see where I live. Come and see, perceive, see with the heart, see with the mind, see with coherence, perceive accurately what you are seeing. And that does not come by physical senses alone. You do not understand life through just a literal interpretation of life, because you manifested in this realm from energy. The energy formed the core and manifested your physical being. You didn't come physical. You came coming out from energy, which are the subtle energy bodies around your being, connected to all the energy bodies within your being that are connected to nerves and organs and glands that hold a powerful coherence. You are energy. You are light, and you are manifested in a physical body. Then you have clairaudient, okay? This is the ability or the power or faculty of hearing something not present to the ear, but regarded as having objective reality. I moved in this realm all the time in Finland. I just didn't know what to call it. I knew that to be clairaudient, everywhere I would go in Finland, I was hearing the sound of rushing water. Why was that? What was to be shown? It was not a it was not in a subjective reality. I didn't hear the water in the physical realm, but everywhere I went, I was hearing the sound of rushing water, to the point where intuitively I knew that the people were to be open for an awakening away from religion into their I amness. And this was years ago. It didn't always happen, but nonetheless, I heard, and I often hear things. I hear one-liners. It's almost like words come out of the atmosphere, or I see words over people and I hear clearly. Sometimes I'll be sitting in meditation and I'll clearly hear a one-word sentence that is an open door to incredible revelation. This is not just for me. And I really thank the charismatic. I thank the prophetic with all its ups and downs. I am not at war with Christianity. I am called to challenge lies, hypocrisy, or any untruths that religious people have believed in order to move into them to the realm of true spirituality and to be their own authentic self. So I was moving in this realm, and yes, people didn't believe me. They didn't often believe me, but I knew what I saw. I didn't have to prove it. Now I have more courage, nor bravery. I know that once it is out of me, if I can say something to a person to encourage them, it's not up to me whether they accept it or not. I also said, I could stay on this for a couple weeks. So let me say something here. I said this on the podcast with Jackie. I was in the shower. Maybe it's something about the water, and I saw this person's face. I don't know this person that well, but this is how I see intuition now. It's not giving that person direction. It's not being God to that person. It's not that they focus on me. How can I give this person an encouraging word and that word resonate in their I am? And suddenly I saw a word, which I'll get to. But what was more important is I saw them sitting in a room in the inner part of their being. And in this room, they were with God, whatever God was represented. And like, let's say this being was sitting on a couch next to this person in the most intimate part of their being. And they were just like Pam Post-Considine says, they were monologuing, not dialoguing. They were talking inside of themselves, God within. And maybe there were some blockages in this person that this person couldn't hear everything that God was wishing to speak within them from the ability of their beautiful being inside. And sometimes we can be used to very quickly just go into that room and whisper something, I don't even want to say prophetic, but just agree with God what they're not hearing to encourage them. Or even if they're hearing it, to affirm that that's them. And I said to this person, you're brilliant, your joy, and all these things. I saw this light. And I also said to this person who I admire that when they speak, peace flows from them like a river. And so I didn't need to understand it. I didn't need to understand it. That brings you down to that level. It was clairvoyant. It was clairaudient. And I see my position now as that whole notion of the prophetic dies away. There is a love energy wanting to manifest through all of our lives through these psychic energies where Jesus was a great example of. If you look at him as a wonderful spiritual teacher and leader and look at those quantum principles behind him, you see magnificent things. And I've moved in a lot of these realms, and I want to go back full circle. I thank the prophetic for that. I never sat in on evangelical services where everybody was required to sit down, shut up, and answer an altar call. When I was a pastor with the Assemblies of God, I was given great freedom to raise up, at that time, prophetic intercessory teams. And we listened to what we felt I'm using like charismatic terms, and I'll shift those over, but don't leave me just because, we're never that advanced that we are so cool that forget that. I would raise up these teams and we would wait for what was going to happen in that service. We took our directions from a higher dimension. We wanted to know, were there people there that were hurting? I could have preached to high heaven and it didn't mean a crap on anybody that was going to get healed that day. There were people sitting in that congregation that came with pain and sorrow and woundedness, divorce, financial worries. And yet I'm going to go up and be a big show and start preaching and prophesying totally irrelevant. I'm going to tell them that the only thing that they need to do is, quote, get saved. That's bullshit, folks. That's bullshit. These people were hurting. And if I could, maybe in their hurting, they developed a blindness. And then you can come in and through intuition and through love energy, not egoic pride, not trying to establish any kind of platform for yourself, not trying to establish it through hustle, but love energy will always move in these psychic abilities. Love energy will always move in the manifestation of a 5D realm into this earth realm. That's what it means in the world, not of the world. And I, for one, I am ready for this because the 4 years, as I told you on the last Facebook Live, the 4 years put me out of commission into a low vibrational reality because of grief or whatever, but I am no longer there. And now I go out in my day and I remind myself, intuitively I train my eyes to see again. I'm going to observe. I'm going to listen. I'm going to see. And I'm going to do it at such a level that I'm going to try to see what's going on behind what I'm seeing, what I'm knowing, what I'm feeling. This is not just going to come to you. You have to develop your senses. If you've been trapped in religion so long, or if you've been trapped in pressure or a narrative of fear, you have to train yourself now by exposing yourself, and you need to take risks. You know, it took some risks to walk across Costco and to walk up to someone and say, hey, can I just give you a word of encouragement today? And then to see how they take it. I could look like a fool, but I'm okay. I have nothing to prove. I have nothing to lose. I'm loving what I'm learning. So let's think about clairaudient. This is the thought that came to me. It's the power to hear something. How in the heck do you think David wrote those Psalms? Don't you think there's a real possibility that he heard the music before he sang the music? Did he hear the music before he put the music to the instruments? I believe he did. It says he put a new song in my mouth. David says God put a new song in my mouth. The universe will put a new song in your mouth. And so there was just a transcription of what was coming, and it was finally suited to him. He had this ability, this resonance inside of him to move in that realm. He didn't work, he didn't hold other jobs. He was a psalmist. So he already had the resonance in him to pick up the vibration. Who are you? Because whoever you are, you're going to pick up that vibration that's going to be shown to other people. I'm curious. I'm adventurous. I get bored easy. Praise God. Maybe there was some intention about that. I'm always looking for new things. Maybe that's not you. Maybe you're something else. Maybe you're a healer, a deep empath. Just be who you're called to be. Clairsentient is the ability to perceive emotional or psychic energy that is imperceptible to the five senses. It is a clear sensing, gathering information. Maybe it's these type of people that connect the dots. I can do that a lot because I'm a visual learner. I know what my strengths are, and with the ability to want more, that I can do all things, but I also know what comes quickly to me. And I know that I can connect the dots. And listen, those are synchronicities. And those synchronicities do not come outside myself. They're in me. The universe knows me and will provide synchronicities to expand on things. Like, for instance, in studying for this message, I suddenly said, I'm going to watch this. Arvin Ash, he's a physicist. I want to watch this on light. And in the middle of watching this, I had to revise my whole message because I knew, wait a minute, these psychic energies, these are just the expansion of light within us that we exchange with the quantum field where information is encoded that we resonate with. There is a science application, the symmetry and the beauty of a divine mind of God behind all this. It's not so mystical and magical that people can't relate to it. No, everybody can move in this realm. So there is a clear sensing that sometimes some of you are called to connect the dots. I see one thing. I see another thing. I see another thing. And from the cohesion of those realities, I pull something out and get that aha moment that's greater than all three. But the universe is always, God is always moving upon me to learn how to connect the dots, even when I'm not aware of it. An opportunity will be presented. I didn't have to watch that video by Arvin Ash. I could have said, oh, I don't have time. The Facebook Live is in an hour. I don't have time. But something inside me resonated. No, there's something about light I need to know before I go on this Facebook video. And sure enough, that synchronicity led to what I'm getting ready to say that to me was just astounding. It was just so incredible. So I'm not even writing these messages based upon all the information I'm studying. I am studying like 6 hours a day, all this stuff on sacred geometry, but I'm funneling it through how to bring it to you with a clear understanding of where you are. First of all, to show you that you're brilliant. I'm not special. I'm unique. I'm brilliant, but you can do all this. So I'm trying to show you, I'm trying to show you that, let me make this easy for you. Let me help you expand your curiosity to where anything goes. And yes, it is based upon love, because you can do all this through ego. There are shysters out there that are going to have you spend a lot of money to read tarots and everything like that, and they're doing it from ego. Find the ones that are not. I've had incredible tarot readings from people that moved in a powerful love energy, that I saved everything they said because it was so incredibly beautiful that it sparked a change in me. But these were people motivated by love. I had an astrological reading done about 1.5 years ago by a wonderful, professional, loving woman who, as she was reading the astrology, she was also asking me questions. We were in unity together. And in unity, she said things that, again, in such a powerful love energy, encouraging my brilliance, affirming some things I wondered about. There's a whole range of things we can be moving in right now. Sometimes I tell myself, Deborah, if you're bored, then you're not looking for everything that is out there. It's like, we'll talk about that another time. Now, I want to say this. Let me breathe. I read this online when I started thinking, when Jesus said, greater works will you do because I go to the Father. It says this: religious leaders constantly and consistently denounced all psychic manifestations as works of Satan and condemned those who indulge in them as the doomed and the damned. Yet they accept every detail of these miracles and mysteries as being unquestionably true. They justify this by saying Jesus held a unique position of power denied to normal human beings. Let me just let that rest. Do I even need to comment on the ridiculous, ignorant hypocrisy of that statement? We better be speaking the I am. I don't come out here speaking what I either don't want to participate in or what I have experienced. I'm not going to say one thing and live another way. That is not me. There's no duality in me. But do you remember how often these messages were preached as if there was only a select few that could participate in this? And if you were participating in this, do you remember a so-called evangelical leader, when all the prophetic charismatic stuff was going on years and years ago, was proclaiming it to be demonic, the shaking? Hey, the shaking is the Kundalini spirit, or the Kundalini. A lot of the stuff that went on in Toronto and all those places was legit. People's lives were changed contrary to the division of the evangelical church saying, oh no, this is evil, stay away. That's also a bunch of BS. That is denying you the authenticity and sovereignty to explore what you want to explore. So when they say this about the Jesus greater works, they'll get up there and they'll preach all these miracles, but then there's nothing flowing in that realm within their congregation. Good grief, that's ridiculous to me. You have to manifest that which you're speaking. And so this is when I looked up the word greater. This is what a lot of, quote, ministers on all these sites I looked at, they said the greater works was, no, that's not miracles for you. You're not Jesus. You're not the disciples. This is the evangelistic success in the number of souls saved. Well, we need to get rid of that terminology and move into this new paradigm, which requires a new language. Salvation has nothing to do with the duality that is preached of heaven and hell. Salvation is the wholeness of you being you, and part of you being you is manifesting greater things that you even think you're capable of based upon who you are and why you're in time for such a time as this. They also said, one guy said, well, the greater works is just preaching with greater clarity. Oh my God, I'm the last, I know, some of y'all love me and you tell me I'm a good teacher, whatever you say, but sometimes when I get off of these, I'm so full of energy. I'm like, what the hell did I just say? So I don't go into this sticking to like notes and just getting it all right. I go into it hoping to flow in the spirit. So I don't really care if I preach with greater clarity, because I'm just going to say what I feel needs to be said, and I'm willing to take the risk. Some of these people also said, the greater works, oh honey, they just mean greater reach and greater success, and also these promises are not for us. And then one guy said, this is a promise yet to be fulfilled. We're waiting for this. Really? That goes hand in hand with, quote, revivals. Now, I got no problem with people wanting to experience a touch from the Lord, but it's not reality to make that inclusive in a reality of where people are still speaking in duality, that there's a heaven and a hell and there's sin, and you have to come to an altar call and pray for 8 hours and worship for 10 hours in order to get something. That is not quantum, that is not science, that is not spirituality, and that just defies logic. So there is no revival. And to say that the promise is yet to be fulfilled, that you can't move in this realm until a certain time or a certain age or a certain eon. Now, folks, oneness is now. Wholeness is now. You are now. You are in time for such a time as this, and everything in you. There is no waiting until you achieve a greater realm of this. So all these thoughts on these psychic energies, I don't know if I'll have time to go into what this subtle energy field is around you. I've been doing a lot of study on that. It's such a broad field and topic, but this psychic energy, this subtle energy, because you see, Jesus was incarnated just like me, just like you. He came out of the energy field. He came from God, from universe, some source to manifest in this time, not to prove that he was special or not to prove that he was to be worshiped or not to prove that he could give you something that you didn't already have. He came to show the reality of oneness with the Father and doing the works and listening to the Father, listening to Father within, listening to the universe to see what you're going to manifest that day. So this is how he lived and moved and had his being in the quantum field. This didn't just happen in the 1900s when quantum was discovered and suddenly there was a revolution, because it was no longer, is it a wave or is it a particle? It was both. It was no longer a wave or it was particle. It's called superposition. It's both. So there was no debate. So then quantum comes along and just like blast this. And we realize that Jesus was being the Word. You are being the essence of who the Father says you are. But if you hold this inside, if you fear, if you worry, you will never manifest the essence of this blueprint, this word, this quantum sea of information. You will never manifest that unless you actually believe you are. I am. This is where it all starts. If I cannot believe that I am, and I cannot believe that I am love, because this is the only way that this is going to flow. Love is all there is. It is all there is. This is the essence, I believe, of the 0-point field. The creation of everything is the energy of love. It is the most vibrational reality on every level, from the 0-point field to the manifestation of galaxies and universes. Love created that, and love created you. Within you is the encoding of the divine blueprints of God. Do you know that? I can't show that to you. You just have to believe that. And you have to know that you have been encoded with this reality. You are the Word. God breathed within you, spoke within you. And that essence may be lost, may be hidden, may be denied. Nonetheless, that does not mean it doesn't exist. It is in you, as you, and through you. And so Jesus also was a fractal of God. He knew that everything that was in God was in Jesus. That is scientific fact, proven, Sela, done deal. You are a fractal of God. You have the latent ability in you to express all that you have been created to express. And this is just my passion. It's really quite simple. Probably because of all the years of rejection and people telling me I was not enough and people saying, you're too quirky, you need to calm down, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this. And I believed it and held back and held back and held back. Thank God I never struggled with depression because I'm just a kick-ass warrior. It was like, I'll fight anybody. I never sat down and said, okay, I'm going to fight this. So maybe I should have there was healing in that response needed, which I have gone through. But that kept me out of depression. And some of you, they're not like me. The very point someone says to you, you are not, you believe that. And you sink into a low vibrational mode, and I acknowledge it is a difficult place to be. But either way, whether being low vibrational in fear and rejection or low vibrational in anger and trying to prove yourself, neither are good. There is a way to awaken of the I am within you. And you are a fractal of God. You are encoded in the quantum field. That information is never lost or destroyed. It's just a scientific fact. Whatever is in the field is in the field. It is neither created or destroyed. It is encoded in the field. You are also living in the world, but not of the world. Well, how do you live in the world? Do you go to church every week? Do you listen to what everybody's telling about you? And please, if you go to church and it's working for you, I'm not telling you not to go. I'm telling you to critically think. I'm telling you to just critically think. Is what you're being told resonating within the authenticity of your being? Only you can make that decision. So you're living in the world and not of the world. Do you know what I've noticed lately? We talk on Facebook. We scroll and we listen and we're distracted and we're schizophrenic, looking back and forth, not knowing who we are, living in an illusion. And it's time to hunker down and to settle into the reality of the I am, and only you can do this. No one can get to that place but you. But when you settle into the resonance of the very foundational aspect of your being, which is unconditionally loved, unconditionally the thought of God, unconditionally, intrinsically designed as a being in this time and place, when you understand that, you will then look. You can't just keep, what am I trying to say? I would get really bored if all I do is keep walking around teaching the same stuff. You are, I am. I don't need religion. It's words. Remember that? I was old enough to remember My Fair Lady, where she sang that song. Words, words, words. I'm so sick of words. I hear words all day through. First from him, not from you. Is that all you can do? Don't talk of love, burning above. If you're in love, show me. That's so incredibly intuitive. It's time to show who we are. And if people don't understand us, or we make a mistake, or we don't do it right, who gives a crap? Just move out. I'm going to end with this. I'm going to make this a little 10 minutes longer. Now, this is what I learned today. Listen carefully. We are subtle energy bodies, which means around us, the aura produces 7 layers of energy. This is ancient wisdom long before Christianity. There are different layers of our aura around us, and when we are pulled into this earthly realm, the density of who we are then manifests in a physical form. But in our physical form, we still have circuits of energy, spinal column, the divine energy that goes from head to base, the chakras, which I have learned through sacred geometry, are not just inside of me, they project back and forth. There's so much energy running through my body that I am energy and I am light. That's why Jesus said, I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will not be pulled into darkness. Did that mean salvation? Hell no. It just meant if you go into the reality of what Jesus was saying, the darkness of your own inability to understand things that are lodged in your subconscious as fear will burst into the light, and you'll have that aha moment of I am that I am. Now what? Let's go. Let's go. So this light, it's not magical. You are light. You are pulsating energy. You are light. The medium by which this energy is carried through flows in higher dimensions. If we were to flow, we're limited if I hope I'm saying this right. We have a limitation within us. We can only flow in so much energy because if we're so full, I guess we could just blow up. So there is the way to move, and all we have to learn to flow in the reality of our physical being with certain amounts of energy. That is why it's essential to understand the chakras and the aura to keep you balanced. But to move in a higher dimension, you are, yeah, exactly, Kay. We're full of energy. So to move in a higher realm, you have to access the subtle body energies because that is really where you came from and where you will return to. So when light, the universe uses light to transfer energy from one thing to another. I move in light. I am light. I flow in light. I connect. Light is the connection within me into the quantum realm. Light is encoding those blueprints because I'm going to flow faster than the speed of light on the earth. I'm going to flow in another realm with greater dimensions of photons that are moving. Long story short, light plays a vital role in almost all processes where energy is exchanged. If you want to talk to someone, when you even walk on the pavement, energy is exchanged in walking, in the physical act of walking. There's an energy exchange in our physical body just to move through the physical reality of our life. And energy is exchanged when we want to process higher dimensional realities. Why do you think Jesus was full of transcendent light on the Mount of Transfiguration? Yes, his chakras were aligned, of course. But he was accessing the fullness and the reality of his subtle energy body. This fullness of light that was incomprehensible, I believe, to even say it in words. So you are light, and you are moving, and that light allows you to access the realities of the physical realm and access the realities of higher dimensions or in the field. A couple more things. You would not exist without light. I would not exist without light. Every process that I am is the exchange of the energy of light. I am light. That's like, why did we use that like simply as an evangelistic tool? You know, I'm healing myself when I'm saying all this stuff. Like, you just light up a room. You know, like we never stopped to actually think of what that actually meant, to know that that is reality. Light or photons, in the process of energy exchange, when we're moving in this realm of exchange of energy, there is information in that. On the quantum sea, the holographic quantum sea, there is encoded information that is neither created or destroyed. How do you access that? Through increasing dimensions of light. How do I do this? Do I need to read more? Study more? No. You meditate and you be still. Go listen to Joe Dispenza. Go listen to Greg Braden. You clear your chakras in times of meditation. You consider going to see a Reiki master who can help you unblock your energy systems. You thoroughly research sound healing, how sound can rearrange the structure of your DNA in certain capabilities. We are on like the frontier because this has been suppressed and oppressed by many regulatory agencies that simply are built on greed, that will not allow us to be exposed to all this new, really beautiful realities. So what I'm trying to say is that you can't even access anything until you realize that you are light and you're accessing what is already encoded in the quantum. I'll do more in a couple weeks. Listen to this, last thing. Light is the fundamental currency used to exchange energy and information from one part of the universe to another. Light, unless you access the reality of light and clear who you are, understand why you're blocked, understand why you're struggling with certain diseases, understand why you're not emotionally stable or why you're emotionally, understand your physical being, your spiritual being. It all goes back to light, and light goes back to the electrical circuits within your body. Light goes back to the chakras, to the aura. It's really quite simple once we understand it. So I went over that part very quickly. There's much deeper understanding to that. So I hope you got a little bit of what I was trying to say. So let me end with this, and I promise. A new paradigm is a new pattern that we follow. A new language. You need a new language to communicate in a new paradigm. So the new language is one of energy, vibration, and frequency. It's not, I'll speak for me, coming from a Christian background. It's not sin. It's not salvation. It's not repentance. It's not revival. It's not any of that. It's the beauty of the energy that I develop and understand this vibration in me, that I understand the frequency, and I am led forth in resonance. Jesus lived, moved, and had his being in resonance. He only did what he saw the Father doing. He only went where he was supposed to go. He bypassed things. Why do you think he said, I could do no miracles here? Don't try to force this situation. He already knew he wasn't going to resonate in that area. There was no collective consciousness in there to pull out of him, so to speak, what they needed, what he was willing to give. If you resonate, it's a back and forth flow. Resonance is a back and forth flow. He didn't go into areas all the time that he couldn't do anything because the collective consciousness of the people were not ready. They weren't going to listen. So that's it. But I haven't even scratched the surface of everything that I want to teach about in the coming days. So I hope I didn't go too fast. I hope that this made sense to some of you. I hope it helped you. I hope that you like it. And I hope it really touched your heart. I hope you know this, that this is an energy of love that I'm moving in. So next week I will probably have to do this on a Friday. And we'll see what happens next week. We're on a journey. And I want to thank every one of you for being with me on this journey. You have a glorious day and a glorious weekend. Thank you for joining me today.